You know what it is. Welcome back to Eyekon TV, another episode of The Table right here. And today is a special day because we have the entire, or most rather, most of the cast of Die Like a Man here today, which is premiering this month. Make sure you guys check it out. Google it, Die Like a Man. It's going to be fire. We're going to get into where you can stream it, where you can find it and all that. But before we start, I want to give a quick shout out to my sponsor. Shout out to Honey Packs. Dinero just took one.
Morning.
For sure. I have some female ones for you, Bernice. Shout out to you. Alex got a lifetime supply from when he came on from his indicted interview. So did the undefeated champ Chino, and the Davids are about to be given some honey packs as well. Don't use them all in one place, perros. But on a more serious note, Bernice, talk to me a little bit about the film and what's it about.
So, Die Like a Man is a coming-of-age story, giving homage to what we go through in the hood, just the struggles of having to prove yourself and the culture that has been embedded in us, that you have to prove to be a man in a machismo way, in a violent way, but internally with the damage it really does, whether it be emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and what it also does in your home and in your surroundings. It just really is an eye-opener of what this life brings.
I saw the trailer. The trailer is definitely powerful. What exactly, well, I know what your role is, but for the people that don't know, what's your role in the movie exactly?
So I did a few things with the movie, but I debut in this movie as an actress.
That's right.
So, yeah, thank you. And I play the mom, Freddie's mom, Mabel, and I also helped cast it. And,
of course.
Yes, and also in association with, so producing as well.
That's dope. Mm-hmm. Who did you cast as your son, the lead actor?
So Miguel Angel Garcia is a very well-known actor. You guys should check him out. But he was brought to us by Eric. So he was already a part. Yes, Eric Nazarian, writer-director, the first person that believed in us from our backyard, gave us our shot. That's and right. Saw our vision and ran with it, and he never sold out like most of our people or most of other people that just care about their project. He was all about putting us in a different light and for us to shine. So
that's fire.
Yes.
Shout out to Eric.
Yes, definitely.
I know we have Dinero and Alex at the table, but real quick, my boy Chino, what was your status? What did you do in this movie? Hold the mic, Pedro.
Prior to us getting together on this project, I had met Eric Nazarian through a mutual friend, Javier Chapa, who I met working on a different project with the Carne Arena with Alejandro Iñárritu. And Javier Chapa is like his wife, Mary Perry, working. I don't know if she's still there, but she's the president of Legendary. So he kind of took a liking to me, and I was working with him and staying in touch with him, and he blessed me with a camera and
fire.
He really took.
Oh, the homie you told me about. Okay, yeah.
Blessed me with a camera and was here, and then he introduced me to Eric, and Eric was cool. He was different. He wasn't like the typical kind of industry guy. He was very urban. For me, he was urban. Like he understood where we were coming from, and he introduced. He shared the project, the script with me. And for a while, I sat on it and I would read it. He shot 3 of them. But Die Like a Man, I kept going over that one. I wanted to keep reading that one, and that one really grabbed my attention. And at the same time, I knew what Bernice was doing. And at the time, I remember him telling me, I told him, what's stopping you from doing it? He's like, we don't got no funding. And I was like, you know what? I know some actors, and I know a person who's working with actors that I think will be a good idea if we could at least play with the script, and you can come in as a professional and teach them something. And that's what happened. I made the introduction, and honestly, I made the introduction. I stepped away, and the rest was Bernice taking lead and
doing her thing.
And actually doing it. I can't take credit for nothing else but making that introduction. And they for a whole year, they were working in her backyard. And a year later, I got lost in my own personal stuff. And then a year later, or I know Eric would keep me updated, but like a year later, like they're like, hey, we're casting and this,
That's fire.
and it just started taking shape, you know, and then I started learning about everybody's, you know, position in the script, and then the role, and you know, him getting the role, Dinero getting the role, and then even her, and then I was kind of like bumped up that it was actually happening, like, you know, and
For sure.
yeah, so that's kind of how I got involved, and I would come in and you know, I would come and go throughout the project during the production. And I would just work with Eric on the, you know, behind the scenes, whatever he needed me to do. Or sometimes he'll be like, hey, like, what do you think about this? Like, just trying to get my insight to how to approach working with our community of people, and you know, and how to approach it, you know. And at the end of the day, like, he did a good job. And I think Bernice did a good job at also, you know, for nurturing him and the understanding of, because she's, you know, she's very motherly about her,
Absolutely.
you know, so that's one of the things that I think he allowed her to do, is to take care of the dudes and whatever issues anybody had with certain things that she, you know, he made it comfortable for her to. And I think that's what allowed this project to kind of, you know, be born. And you know, so now I'm just kind of like sitting back and honestly watching the work everybody did and put into it, and just, I'm fortunate enough, and I got one of my songs on the soundtrack, This Ain't Living. And so, you know, to me, it was just kind of
Perks of being the producer. Just guy my ass.
I got a co-producer, and I got a song, and so I'm like, I'm cool, you know. I'm cool. I also played a role like a cop, but
That's right.
you don't see it, and you know, I don't come out, but I played a role as a cop, and it was just cool to be part of something and to see my peers be part of it, and someone who had took a liking to me, and been my mentor. You know, he showed up to my, you know, I got a gun charge. He showed up to my court, so ever since he did that, to me was like,
You were rocking with him. It was real. It was real.
real. And I'm like, all right, this dude's for reals. And ever since, the rest is history, you know. So I've been fortunate to be part of this group and see everybody grow up and you know, evolve. Like, I remember meeting him, and how he's evolved, and even Dinero, like, he's evolved. Even I've been watching this from as a spectator, you know, and it's been cool. You know, it's been cool to be part of it and to watch people grow and you know, just, I'm excited to see what's gonna come next.
Facts. What's your role in the movie? Dinero?
I play a triple OG.
That's young guys triple A. Shake that.
No.
You get in the trailer, you're a snapper ass fool.
Yeah, I'm right there. Yeah. But nah, my character is a sniper, so I play sniper in that like a man. And shit, man, it was, again, you know, shout out to Eric, man. Shout out to Eric, because he like, the minute Eric even jumped on board with us, bro, felt like family. You know what I'm saying? He felt like family. He made everything feel so, like, comforting. You know what I'm saying? So there was, like, no real pressure other than the fact that me, Westy, and Alex kind of one day
What'd you do?
we went out. Well, we went out to Mama Por Dios. Hey, we got up, and and it was during COVID. And we go back to set, bro. I'm throwing up. I have a weak ass stomach.
Oh, so you're down for the count the next day.
I'm throwing up, fool. And then Eric's like, hey, you got COVID? And I'm like, fool, I'm gonna keep it a buck. I'm hungover like a mother. Dog, he's like, nah, he pressed me, fool. Like, he pressed me, dog. And I gave it all respect to him, fool, because it was something that you couldn't play with. You know what I mean? Like, that film, he treats you like a baby, dog. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I felt it, you know, I took it. I'm like, you know what, fool, I fucked up, and from here on out, you're not gonna see me fuck up, dog. Like, my apologies, you know? But, yeah, bro, and other than that, like, Eric's just a dope and humble and, like, down-to-earth person, you know what I mean? Shout out to Eric, bro, for real. But, Sniper, again, he just brought me back to, like, when I was like 12 to 18, bro. Like, he was kind of more like the fool pressing up on fools, and I wouldn't say he was like he's like the second top, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it.
I would say, like, you know, second top dog or whatever, but yeah, I was just pressing shit, fool. I was mad. It was a different character for sure.
So you're trying to pressure out the homie, her son.
Yeah, basically with, like, Freddie, I don't know, there was just something about him that I didn't like, because I didn't feel like he was like an actual, like,
homie. Yeah,
like a homie. Like, he wasn't down enough to us, for, like, and there's scenes where, oh, well, I'm not gonna talk about that. There's certain situations that happen, right, and he's kind of laughing at it, you know, and I'm just like, nah, that fool. Like I just don't like him from the rip, you know. And I don't think I ever like him throughout the whole movie, you know. But I'm always pressing up on him and shit. But yeah, it's a different character from what you fool see in the skits. You know what I mean?
That's right.
That was a dope opportunity though.
Alex, what did you do, Mr. Gibson?
Yeah, so I play the character Boom Boom, and you know we're just like Bernice was saying earlier, you know, we're kind of like the goons, but from horchata, but within a more serious tone, like in a harsher tone.
No, yeah, this movie is significantly more serious.
Yeah. This is the more raw version, you know, like it's not a version, I would say, of horchata or anything, but this is just a raw telling of how, you know, a lot of us grew up and a lot of us lived, you know, in those young ages. There's so many similarities. I don't want to get into, you know, telling of the story, but like that I'm sure all of us can relate to, you know, and like Dinero said, you know, this character, Boom Boom, also took me back to my young age, you know, when I was really like a tripper, you know, and I didn't really give a fuck about nothing, and just wanted to press people just to press people, you know, and that's what we really were kind of doing for the character Freddy. And I don't see, you know, like my character really like had a dislike or a distaste for Freddy. It was more of like a, you know, we're gonna test this fool's nuts type of a feeling, you know, because there are some you know, really heartfelt moments, you know, throughout the film where it's like, you know, it's just love, you know, we just wanted to make sure you're down. Yeah, exactly. And that's a part of our culture growing up, you know, and that's really a big thing as far as, you know, the movie is called Die Like a Man, you know, and there are these things that were expected of us, you know, as young men, that we had these ideals that we have to do X, Y, and Z, or we have to go to prison, or you know, that's a part of our initiation into the lifestyle of becoming a man, you know, and these are our rites of passage, and we're involved in taking him through these trials, you know, as on his journey of becoming a man, you know. Yeah.
It's deep.
Yeah, it is super deep, you know, and Eric created a beautiful world for us to live in, you know, for us to portray these things that we've actually lived. And now we have the opportunity through this project, through this art, to be able to share it with the world. And it's beautiful because like the people in our culture are going to see this and know this.
It's going to be relatable as hell.
Yeah, but for the ones that don't know us, like we were at the IMAX theater last night with all these, you know, these people that are like,
USC,
USC, IMAX.
That's like all these people, you know, and they're getting an insight into our upbringings that a lot of them would have.
Yeah, the surroundings that surround that school.
Yeah, exactly. And it's so crazy that you say that, fool, because they're like in the heart of.
They're the heart of South Central.
They're the heart of the shit, fool. Like no, a lot of them will have no idea. You know, they'll have no idea that this stuff is going on in the
trenches,
the next block over.
Yeah, literally, you know? 2 or 3 blocks over.
And they're just like oblivious to this, but now they get the chance to see it through this art, through that we are so blessed to be able to portray.
Facts. David, what's cracking with you, my dog?
What's up, man?
What's your role in the film?
In the film, I played Capone, kind of similar to Dinero's role and Gibson's role. I had a great time doing the film. Special shout out to Bernice. You know, she's the reason why I'm really here.
That's right.
I met her at a park. I was playing basketball against her brothers, and after the game, she was like, "Hey, yo, like there's this film coming up," and then, you know, the rest is history. But we've been doing this from like 2019. And I feel like we're finally getting our recognition, which is like really important to us. You know, it means a lot, you know, just coming from the bottom, like just trying to share our stories, bro. Man, like it was my first time seeing the movie yesterday because I'm an upcoming DJ as well.
Yes.
I went to school for recording arts, upcoming producer as well.
That's right.
And
don't say so much, fool.
Yeah, me and Dinero got something, family.
Ooh, damn, Gibson.
Ain't gonna forget.
Come on.
No, fool, don't say so much about the film, fool. Like,
remove a little bit of it, don't you?
Yeah, besides that, the movie, bro, it was filmed in my home city where I grew up at. Like, I actually grew up in Venice, California. I live in Mid City now, but a lot of people do know me over there, bro. And I have much respect for everybody over there, as well as in Mid City, man. And I hope that this film, they just can relate a little bit, if not fully, just a little bit, and it just ready to motivate the next generation to keep telling stories, bro. Because we all have a story, man. And I just appreciate the opportunity finally.
How did you feel when you actually saw the film yesterday on the big screen with the surround sound and the whole shit?
Yeah, IMAX, I was like, it was so big of a theater that I had to like turn my head just to what's going on here. Hold up, but it was a great experience.
This is your first film as well, right?
My first, this is my biggest film. I worked with a whole bunch of other important
stuff. Yes.
And I learned a lot as well there too, and it's all a learning experience. I mean, I can't wait for part 2 if there's going to be one. I hope there is one.
Don't burn it out, perro. They don't even know.
But, what else could I say, man? Just thankful and just happy to be here with all my brothers, We started this. We went to acting school, bro. We try to prepare ourselves as much as we can just to
That's right.
fit those roles, man, and
That's dope that you say that, though, because it means you took the time to actually care enough to go try to learn how to do your best.
For years, bro.
Absolutely. Most definitely.
That's tight.
I feel those drives, dog, 2 hours away, over there and back. Going there.
Homie, like, they weren't getting paid because also, this is why, to me, it's like, man, like, everybody, I take my hat to everybody. He did, and Dinero, like, he was really, we're looking for him to, because he was the face, Dinero. So for him to take those 2-hour drives and commit to it.
That's his fault for living that far, Pedro.
Yeah.
But
Do not pity him.
He brought an energy,
No, absolutely.
He brought the confidence to other people, and his presence. And I think Bernice, for Bernice too, like having him and them working together because they have a long relationship working together.
Yep.
I think just the whole group kind of like, just fed off of that, and that's why everybody was able to come and do what they do.
Bro. Like, last thing I want to say before I forget, there's people that work in this film, bro, that are my brothers, our brothers that are not here no more.
Rest in peace.
I saw the film yesterday, and for me to like just see him there, and then it's gonna live forever, And I'm just so happy that Eric really like helped us like get this project out, bro. That's live forever. Like, the West Side needed this, and
that's right.
I'm real happy for the West Side.
Can you pass that over to David too?
You can go with Dave if you want to. What a name would be like.
What was your role, my brother?
I played a character named Sergio. Sergio is he's a local kid that grew up in the neighborhood. He grew up with Freddie and Luna.
So you're Freddie's homie.
You can watch it and figure out about me. He's a character who you have to watch what you say and how you say, because he's very observant, and you never know what his motives really are or what he's feeling. And so he's he's somebody that just
Can you relate to your character at all?
I can relate to him, and I grew up like David. The two of us are the two that grew up sort of on the west side of LA.
That's right.
And so to have filmed, I have a scene in a famous park in Venice, and I had family that grew up, like I had family that were, a couple blocks away and stuff like that. And so to have been like there, to have been in a place where it's like, man, it's pretty cool that, you want to get that?
Gracias, that was my
DP for me later.
We're gonna have honey pack you food.
that was it was really, really cool to be able to be there and be somewhere that, you're like, man, I do feel happy to have been able to have been a part of this and where it takes place. But it was also like, I think the film has a lot of passion and a lot of like, it's a very poetic film, and the film to me kind of feels like a love letter, and it feels like a love letter to coming of age stories. And that's something that I grew up loving, coming of age stories and film and all that. And so it's a lot about a young man kind of like and other characters trying to figure out who they are. And I think my character is also someone who's trying to figure out who he is, and he thinks he has a good idea of it, but you know, who he is sort of tested, and who Freddy is and who Luna is, and all these characters. You know, it's all about figuring out who you are and where you fit into this world. And the world itself of the film is it's set around a specific part of LA where a lot is changing, and a lot has changed over the years.
Facts.
And a lot of gentrification.
Mm-hmm.
But there's people who are still here that come from these old school families, but they're still on the same issues that they were years ago. And instead of trying to adapt with the new, or trying to even, you know, find their place with the new, they're still sticking with the old ways.
Yeah, they're on their own shit.
Yeah, they're on their own thing. And so it's pretty much them finding their way.
That's tight. Bernice, I feel like this is a... Tell me about From the Streets to the Set, because I feel like this is like a coming of age for that in itself too. You know what I mean?
Definitely. So From the Streets to the Set is a group of hood people that decided to want to do something different than what we are stereotyped to do. And we came about just being background and, you know, bringing the authenticity to shows like A Life, SWAT, Mayans,
of course,
all of those. And then the curiosity got more from these guys of like, hey, how can I be the guy in front of the camera instead of just in the background? And I don't come from the world of, I didn't go to school.
You're hustling.
Yeah, like the closest thing I got to a film industry was going with my mom to be the housekeeper of these people, you know? And so when I started wrangling the background, and I started talking to everyone on set, and that's why they say, like, you treat the janitor the same way you would do the CEO, because you don't know who's on set, who's watching. And the PAs, the ADs, they started teaching me stunt guys, like, you know, oh, well, agents, managers, you have to do an audition, this, that. And one of the things that was very well, like, taught to me was that a lot of our people, especially in authentic places, they lacked training, right? So I was like, okay, so we threw an event, we fundraised. And Anthony Gilardi was our first acting coach that opened up
the legend
our doors, and was like, okay, well, whatever you raised, I'll take as many of your team and I'll train them, you know, and see what they do with it. This is actually some of the first group that was in there, and they ran with it. They were serious about their shit, you know. It wasn't just talking the talk. Like they would drive down, they committed, they wanted it, and then people on the inside, I won't mention any names, but started sending me auditions and sides and like, well, look here, like submit to this, and here's an email. And then we started getting callbacks, you know, and then from there it was like, well, boss, I don't have an agent or a manager. Like, can you do it? I trust you. And I said, damn, okay, now I have to get into the business of managing and then learning that aspect. And everything else has like been history, but everything was cooking up until the opportunity that Eric gave us, and we gave birth to a side of From the Street to the Set that I think people underestimated. People still do, but I hope that with this film, it brings light to those people that, with or without your support, we're here to stay. And it ain't even about going through the front door. If I gotta crawl through the window or pull off the roof or whatever, that's what I'm gonna be doing. And because we belong in places that you think we don't belong in, and that's been my sole vision and goal. And yeah, you know, everything that's worth having takes time. And
absolutely.
You know, people that want to rush things or, you know, to prove something, you know, I've been there, done it, and it never last. But this has been like a baby, right? Like it has to go through its process. You can't
rush it.
Yeah, you can't premature anything that is worth to its perfection. And Die Like a Man is going to show us finally in a different light. And here's the thing, like, people might say, oh, another gay movie. Like, no, it's not. Here's the thing, like, if you are given something, if you are given a look, if you are given a history, a past, embrace it. But then now tell the story that's accurate to that past that you have. You know, I support everyone that's doing everything that is Chicano based, that wants to talk about the hood, but there has to come a seriousness to this now, because we lost people in the game.
Facts.
We have hurt people. We are losing, like, whether it be to death, to systems, to many things, to mental health. And so it's cool to laugh a little bit about things and put us in a light of a different shade, but this is real. You know, that's why I take things seriously. People might say, oh, you're selective with like who you have. Yeah, because I bled and sweat this lifestyle. So if you're not legit, or if you're just a culture vulture, I'm not messing with you. And I could be all the type B's and F's that you wanted. I don't care.
Facts are facts.
You know, so this movie is going to put us in a light where the moms, you know, the friend, the homie the homie that grew up in the hood but's not from the hood, or like the homies that, you know, at the end of the day, this is reality. This is what the culture brings. You know, you have the snipers in the world, you have the boom booms, you have the Sergios, you have the Capones, and just because you rock with the same situation, that doesn't mean that there's a heartfelt, genuine, like, love. And that's where people get it misconstrued. It like, what's the thin line between conditional and unconditional? And this film is going to be very bringing light to that.
That's tight.
You know, so it's, yeah, from the streets to the set will continue to make noise. Not will make noise, because we've already been making noise, but
I say that, and I said that to say, like, basically, like, although this movie was filmed in 2019 and this is going to be a big moment, you've been grinding. It's 2025. You've been grinding this whole time. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like you guys haven't made traction and leaps and bounds in other aspects outside of the film, but like, yeah, the film is gonna do more work.
Yeah, well, I mean, whatever happened behind the scenes gave us the courage and the motivation that we could do this, and that's how other things came about. You know, that's how other projects surfaced, and that's why the faces are still in the rooms, and that's why they've evolved, and now it's not just like, oh, the background that's aiming to like become SAG-E and then become SAG. No, like you have a SAG actor, you have SAG-E eligible like actors.
I'm in SAG eligible. Gracias.
You know, so at the end of the day, like, went from the background, you know, wrangler to the manager to the producer to the casting director to the consultant, like,
to the actress.
Yeah.
Tell me how that felt. Like, who's fucking? I know you didn't cast yourself. Eric was like, "Hey, check this shit out, fool. I think we're gonna need you to be Mabel."
Yeah, it went like that. I mean, I was in the room and there was great people reading, right? I even had homegirls like trying to read.
No, I know. You were trying to put everybody on. I already know how you get down.
Yeah, and it just wasn't hitting. It was just like, and then there was some that were like industry, right? But it's like, do you even have a kid? Or like, did you even grow up in this? You know, right? But not you like a messed up way.
Yeah, you just
like, can we have it? Right.
City, yeah.
And then one of the EPs and Eric were like, well, how about you read for the part? And I was like, oh, no, I only do behind the scenes. I'm just, you know, I don't act. They're like, well, you technically wouldn't be acting because this is your life. Like, this has been your life. So
I like those.
I was like, oh, okay, well, and then we got up, did the read. I think David was in that room.
I'll say something about that.
Yeah, and And after that, it was like a few weeks later, I get the call, hey, can I come over? I'm thinking we're going to talk about production stuff and casting. And he asked my whole family to be there. So that's one thing that I appreciate about Eric. And he let my husband and my kids know, like, hey, I'm offering your mom this role, but I'm going to have to take her away from you guys for this amount of time.
That's right.
And so I was like, oh, like, okay. And as far as feeling, I was nervous. I'm sharing the screen with the, Miguel Angel Garcias of the world, the Corey Hardricks, the Frankie Loyals, Mariela Molino. Like, these are working actors that have had like so much success. And I'm like, oh my God, like here's and Eric was like, well, here's the thing, like they have to do the research for something you already know. So if whoever's going to be nervous, it needs to be them, because you know what this really feels like. I was like, okay, like I think I could do it. But it definitely brought back a lot of emotions, a lot of feelings, because I am a real life Mabel, and I did have a Freddie at the time at home doing this, like Omar would be there in days that I was stressing my son not coming home. And I'm in pre-production of this film. I'm building from the streets to the set. People asking me in interviews, like, how can you save these other guys and not your own? And
who the f would ask you some weird shit like that?
Man, weird people.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Here's the thing. Those are things that for anybody listening or watching, these are your opportunities to lift up who needs to be lifted. And in my case, I'm going to say God, right?
That's right.
Why? Because God called me for a purpose. And if he put me in a room and in a position to touch everyone else, and he asked me to do it obediently, and he will take care of the rest like he has promised, then I just went on full force. And guess what? It didn't happen overnight. It didn't happen in a week, in a month. 4 years later, my son came back to me after I had already established relationships. But yet again, God was faithful. And now, I mean, my son's in this movie, you know what I'm saying? And even when he was still out and about. So there's nothing that at this point is gonna say like everything you've gone through is for a purpose. So this here proves that everyone's pain in this room, everyone, whether it be Gibson in the years that he was in jail, everything that Dinero was like going through, everything that David has encountered, the other David, Omar, has literally turned into purpose. And this is the purpose. Like, we could be gone tomorrow, and guess what? We're going to live forever, and not on a shirt, not on a mural, on storytelling that validates who we are and bring the authenticity,
Fire.
So I know David wanted to say something.
That was the reel for the promo right there, Pedro.
Oh, and our God's Jesus Christ, by the way.
Yeah.
That's right.
Jesucristo.
So I was actually had the opportunity in like the early auditions. I was auditioning for the main role, Freddie, and so they would have you do this thing where you'd come in, you'd read, and they'd have you do different chemistry reads with different actors for characters, and
of course.
And so Bernice would be in the room watching along with like the other casting director, Blanca,
yeah,
and then Eric, the director, all that. So they're watching people come in and out, and I got lucky where I was one of the ones who was in there, and I was in front of them, and Bernice was like, "Well, would be realistic because of this or this, that," and I think the casting director, Blanca, she was like, "Then why don't you go up there?" Bernice was like, "Huh?"
She got caught off guard like a
and then she's like, just go ahead and try it. And I got to be the one on the other end of that, where I was playing Freddie
and the initial audition and the initial reading
audition, and I got to watch Bernice throw down like first go, no preparation.
That's fire, fool.
And she didn't even need the script in front of her; she just threw down. And I remember the casting director Blanca, who she's casted a lot of bigger shows, all that too. I remember after we finished, we looked over her and she had tears in her eyes.
That's fucking right.
Because of how B threw down. And I knew in that moment, like, I was like, she's got it. She's the one. And she didn't even know yet. I think you were still doubting.
Yeah, it's like,
I knew in the moment, like, you have these little, when you're acting, you know, you have little intrusive actor thoughts where it's not the character, it's you know, you. And like, I had a moment where I was like,
Oh yeah, she got it.
that was it. Like, it's over. It's over.
That's power.
I got to be the one in the room and to experience that. And yeah, it was pretty sick.
Tell me some crazy shit that happened on set during the filming, Alex.
Oh man. Well, we definitely have fun, man. I will say, and I've been thinking this, like, looking back on it a lot throughout this interview, I've just been thinking, like, damn, this film is like literally where we became a family. You know, like, this was our first project that we started, like our first real project. Like, yes, we had the SWAT and then, you know, the couple things, you know, background, you know, Blueface music video, whatever. But this is where we really became a family, you know. We would just have fun, you know. Like, it was me, Dinero, and David, like, on set, like, just around, you know, having fun, you know.
That David.
Yeah. This David super professional, David. but not like even David. This David was telling us, like man, he's like, I showed up to set and like all three of us are like knocked out.
Oh my God.
At the table was because we were just out partying the night before, big sleep, you know, and we had fun, you know, and it was an incredible, it was a very new experience for us all. And we were enjoying it and embracing it. But like, at the same time, I feel like all of us knew that this is where we wanted to be, you know, and this is something that we wanted to make our lives into. And it was the beginning, essentially, of our journey. You know, it's like, look at where we are now.
Yeah.
And it's incredible to look back at. And we had fun. We messed around. We got yelled at maybe a couple of times. but like Dinero was saying, that this is Eric's baby, you know. And I think at the time, it was, for us, we didn't really understand how much of how much he has put into this baby, you know. And we were,
he was just on set doing whatever they're doing.
Exactly. Yeah.
I feel it.
And now, after all the time that we have invested in the film, now we as a team have 5 years invested
interest, absolutely.
Yeah, and we can see that perspective from where he's been, like, man, over all these years too. But you know, it was just fun, man. It was just fun, you know.
As the behind the scenes guy, is there any particular reason why it took half a decade, Pedro?
Wow.
Give him that mic, please, sir.
To be honest,
please.
Man, Eric had been trying to get this film going years before he got introduced to me.
Yeah.
I'm talking about years.
So it's just been going through it from the gate.
Like, yesterday, he described it as like he went through 4 miscarriages trying to have this film.
That's crazy, huh?
Like, for real, where it's about to come and then just it gets killed for whether budgets, whatever, you know, people back off, whatever.
Of course.
And from my understanding, it's been like 15 years. He was, you know, so when he presented it to me, I remember him sharing it to me when I started, started mentoring me, and we were just kind of becoming homies and friends. You know, it's not even mentoring, but like, he would be there for me as a professional, you know, someone who's very passionate about his craft. He don't play around. Yeah. That's what I loved about him. But he also comes from he has a hood experience. He's not so naive, you know. He's actually...
No, he knows what's up.
He was a DJ when he was younger. He even got shot at.
Bro got shot.
Yeah, bro got shot. You know, in the hood. So to me, some Hollywood dude, you know, because I have experience with Hollywood dudes, and you know what I mean. And you know, I mean,
it's not the same. Yeah,
it's not the same. But for him, and for him to try to tell this story, at first I was kind of like skeptical. But then I started learning about him and getting to know him. That's why I was so comfortable to introduce him to Bernice and the group, because, you know, like, I'm not going to play that.
Yeah, once he opened up, you opened up.
You're not going to use me to, you know, but I knew where his heart was at. And so he had been trying to work on this. And the reason why it took long, because like I said, even when we filmed, the reason why it was taking COVID, you got the fires, you had all kinds of things happening.
Strikes.
The strikes,
that was critical, probably.
Like Bernice was talking about, like, she had her own personal stuff going on in her life with her son.
Yeah, that's gotta be intense.
Going through his, and Dinero, like, I remember them going through personal shit. So when I would, learn, I would come back to Eric and I'll be like, man, like, we got to do something, because
Yeah,
they're showing up. At the end of the day, they're showing up. That's why they're here. But they're showing up, but they're going to do some real shit. And
so we got to make this shit count.
please do something, so, I remember he brought up the topic of putting, asking Bernice for the role. And I told him, look, she's actually going through that. And he didn't realize that she had just had, like, she was going through her own personal, like, he felt, he's a good dude. He felt,
Compassion.
just not, he felt uncomfortable to approach her and ask her for that kind of commitment because he knows he's asking for commitment. And that's why he approached her the way he did, because he wanted to honor her, her role as a mother and her role as a, because she's managing and working with these guys too. But then you asking her to still be that's another job.
That's a lot.
So the way he approached it, I'm like, I think that moment where he's talking about, I think she wanted, she made it clear that, yeah, that's for her. And I already knew it. And I had meant to it in her ear, like, she's going through this. She fits everything. If she's not going to be the one, she's the one that needs to be working with whoever's going to be, because she's going to.
Like the coach for that particular individual.
We're telling her, like, coach, just, like,
Suck it up.
you got to lose it. And, it's uncomfortable. I remember when I started doing it, it's uncomfortable at first. She was very, like, but I'm good. And I'm like, it makes me, bro, like, it makes me emotional and very, like, because I seen it and I know to see what her son's now, what he's doing from where he came from. This film probably saved his life, like, for real. I know it saved mine. I know it saved a lot of people, because I held on to this shit when I was ready to, getting lost in my. This film would always bring me back to what I had been working on, and that's why to me it's kind of like, man, the film is great. It's a dope ass story, but for me is the experience of making it. The Eyekon, where that's for me where I get my where I get very passionate and just very just I fell in love with the experience of this film, and how it's been in my life for 5 years. In those 5 years, I've gone through a lot of shit, divorce, miscarriages, all kinds of stuff. And so for me to be able to present this film now, I think for everybody, even Bernice, everybody is kind of like it's a come around of what we've gone through, but we're still here, and I think this is why it's important for, I'm sure you yourself, I've known you for a long time.
And then you go back.
When you started, bro, you with the camera and just trying to grind, and I remember that shit. And to see what it makes me feel like for you, like, if you had your own film, like, it's basically of that, for us. You just don't have your shit documented. You don't have your shit, and I've experienced it with these group of people. And I've experienced it with you from a distance, but I was there close enough to see how much you grind and, to get to where you're at, and I've seen Bernice grind and I've grind, and Bernice, like, man, I'm on this mission, because I worked at NBC Universal for a whole year, and I learned a lot about the industry, about the business side. And I realized that, like, my people are not so informed about these
facts,
so I just try to speak into him, be professional, like the little things that you're talking about, bro. You can't do this.
You can't come and sit all up. It's this food, dog.
That was Patron, dog.
That's for sober.
What I'm saying is, like, this really gave them, like, the opportunity to present, to show up and present themselves as professionals. And
facts.
They didn't have Bernice and her ass on top of them too. They could have easily fell off, and dog, and you don't know who the addicts is. You probably forget about Dinero, but this project is gonna put them back on the limelight, because they've been working hard behind the scenes, and, like, films take time, bro. It takes time.
Absolutely.
And Eric is
editing and everything, yeah.
And for him to finally give birth, I feel like now he's just enjoying the moment of creating his baby, and we're just right there nurturing this baby too, because we participated in conceiving it, and so it's more than just a film, brother, that we just did. It's more than that, and like I said, it's because of the time and the experiences that we've had making it. I think that's the behind the scenes, the creating of it, to me, is more of is deeper than just the film itself, And I'm just proud of us being here, bro. And I'm just thinking about what's the next for us, And I'm always talking to you about, hey, you should, and that's really what I be on, bro. Like, I get lost in my own shit, but that's really what I be on. And to see everybody making progress, it just makes me feel proud of the work that everybody's doing, and hoping to make sure that we, continue and navigate this in a way where we're really touching success at a way where we can, I can empower you, she can empower her to touch more people and put more people up, and create our community of people. Just like there's about the African American race and what they've done, with the Fridays and the that's something to study, bro. And they work. A lot of people work together behind the scenes. Those movies and stuff didn't just happen, and you just don't hear about it. Bernie, now I think you're starting to get a lot of behind the scenes of stuff that we grew up on that you didn't know. I'm like, man, I'm coming out where I'm like, I didn't know that. So it's like, I start thinking like, man, that's what I need to be on right now. And I can be right here, being in conflict or fighting with people when y'all need each other at the end of the day, So I'm just glad that we were all able to work together. And, and like I said, at the end of the day, Eric is really like the spinal cord of this, because he put up with all that. He put up with my, because I would bro, and, but he really had so much faith in me, and, and I was able to take this from and bring in film in my hood for 2 weeks, bro. So to me, that was like,
that's tight, yeah.
Because I had been trying to bring at film and this the kind of like work to my city, and it was kind of like like, what are you doing? Because it made me uncomfortable trying to pursue film in the hood like that with a camera, because I had a camera, so I'm like, I can't just be walking around with a camera and I'm looking suspect.
No one's a blood fast fool.
So I'm like, man, it made me feel uncomfortable. So for me to bring Hollywood into the city and literally take them to the worst house in the city where I could take them.
Were you taking them to the Cleanermans or some shit?
Nah, I took them to the straight. They used to call it the main shelter, bro, because everybody was down and on the luck and just low bottom.
That's the main shelter, yeah.
And I was in low bottom, my low bottom. So this is why I took them there. That's why I knew it, and I knew that place. And so that place too, that there's
that's historical in itself.
And a lot of people who know that spot in Monte, a lot of people know.
Yeah, if you're from Monte,
yeah. So
no, we even had our little trials and tribulations right there.
Challenging. As far as me experiencing is my city is because I had one of my homies tripping. Because you guys are on the street, bro. Yeah. No, it's my city.
No, yeah, everyone's on the street. It's a lot of shit taking place.
Thank God, like, yes, it's a film.
Bro, I was for like not even an hour, 30 minutes.
Why the f did you take that long, Pedro?
And it was like, there was a big thing on the set because one of the homies was tripping. There's no blacks. I don't know what.
Yeah. So that's not funny, but
because I stood up and I kind of tried to confront the issue. Well, homie was gone already, but. He
oh god,
the crowd, like especially like some of the producers,
people that are not with the shits like that are kind of like, oh, is it gonna be cool?
And you know what? Right now that you mentioned that, because I don't want that to go unnoticed, right? Corey Hardrick, right? Like even that challenging thing of like, oh, there's no this type of person here or whatever. I know that there's going to be certain things because you have raza predominantly, with the exception of Corey, like playing this, lead or whatever. One thing I want to make clear with this is that manipulation doesn't have a color. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
Like just overpowering or being a predator, at least in vulnerability of people and everything, don't have a color. Like it doesn't have a color.
Absolutely not.
So this shouldn't steer away from the people that, oh, well, I would support if it was all Chicano or all his. No, these are our stories.
The facts are what I'm saying? There's blacks in the hood and our hoods. There's us and the black hoods. There's Chinos. There's whites.
Yeah. And so I just wanted to bring light, because I know that if you are going to go and watch this movie and then go in already with the idea of oh, that would never happen or this and that, no, yeah, it really does happen,
And the truth is, if you are going in with that mindset thinking that it would never happen, you really don't know
You're not
because we all got homies, that are blacks, that run with Mexicans. They're 100% that are Mexican that run with blacks. There's all races, that just find their way. But that is the one they grew up.
It scared the production. I had to go on
a little spree. I already know.
Like damage control, because they the executives wanted to shut down, and I'm like, bro, everything's under control, man. You guys are, reading the situation. It's not like that,
Like nobody even shot
at all.
There was no bullets. Nah, but it's popping out the mouth, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, the homie was tripping. Bottom line.
But you know what?
Yeah.
Like, like shout out to Herbert Chapa, who introduced me to Eric Lazarian. And you know, cause he was spooked, and
He was on the scene.
he pulled me to the side. Like, hey man, tell me the truth. I said, look,
He's like, Omar, tell me how bad it's gonna be.
I told him, look, there's no threat, bro. I said,
My homie was tripping. That's it.
look, people, it wasn't even the tripping. It's just people were reacting to whatever. The
Yeah.
reaction is what scared them.
No, it was a ripple effect.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I was like, look, bro, look at it like this. When I walked into those Hollywood studios, I felt the same uncomfortable you're feeling right now.
That's how I felt.
I felt what you're talking about, what you're scared of to me is
It's life on a
that's
daily.
like nothing. Like that's, and you're over here. I saw think about it. Me going into your being uncomfortable, and so much like that's the same experience I went through. I said, and it's nothing. I told him because if it was a threat or something, I would tell you. And it's not nothing.
Yeah, we would have broke this shit up. You don't want to be responsible for some shit. Yeah.
In the streets, this is a raw film. You wanted raw talent. That's why we're here.
That's why we're here.
What you expect, homie? Like,
Yeah.
you know, but you know, it played out and it was good, you know, and it was a learning experience for them, I think, and for all of us, you know.
And you know what? Even in that situation, I want to give credit where credit is due because Eric knew firsthand the population he was dealing with. You know?
Absolutely.
And he could easily have been like, well, thanks, Omar, but you know, I think I'm going the safe route.
Yeah.
And this is where it gets real for us, that if the goal has been in the world to create opportunity, like you have the people that want to go and donate and volunteer and whatever, right? Cool, just to make yourself look good, that's awesome. But now when you want to really make a change, and I'm talking about making the change, not just talking about the change and then stepping away when it gets real.
Mhm.
When you want to make a change, you dive in and you are like, all right, here we go. Like, I'm trusting the team, right? And it took the trust from Eric to us, from me to Omar, because now I'm not in my backyard no more. I grew up in MacArthur Park, you know, those areas. So also, like, you know, then having Dinero come out and trust, like he's, you know, from the Valle, Coachella. Like, you know, these are all a trust that was with everyone within. So we had each other's back no matter what. But anyone easily could have pulled out, and I'm talking about in the status of like EPs or producers, or people are like, oh,
Like,
no.
yeah, this is just too dangerous or what have you.
They sat there. They heard us because that's
Which is-
the problem.
which is
We don't
valid.
we don't get heard, and they think that they know the decisions for us. No, like I could tell you what happens in my backyard. I could tell you how this place is gonna go. You could tell me maybe in Hollywood, but I'll tell you right here, right? So that's how it played out, and for them to trust that was 100% what change is really about and what giving opportunity is really about. People pushing the agenda of like, yeah, let's see more of our people, 100%. But for me, I'm going to give credit where credit is due. And an Armenian man gave me the spotlight that many of my people refused to, you know, and now I'm getting knocks at the door and calls and DMs of the people that I once reached out to, and it's like, well, now you gotta call my assistant because I'm busy. You know, like that time, you know, like, and that's just how it's gonna go. Yeah, you know. And here's the thing, another thing, like what Omar said, like we didn't have a budget doing this, and don't get it twisted. When we were babies, infants, we didn't mind doing the work because that's how hungry we were.
Absolutely.
But also, don't get it twisted. Like, hunger doesn't mean desperation, in a sense. We come from hunger. We come from struggle. I could go without, you know what I'm saying? But don't take advantage of that hunger so you could get over and then you put in your pocket and then, like, take me out of it. So now people get scared when people talk about contracts and like, oh, get at my manager and what. No, but would you be scared if a CEO at Universal was telling you that? Would you get scared if someone at Disney was telling you, show me a contract?
It's always
so
like
don't
that.
come and treat this room of people or my people from the streets to the set like we haven't earned that, because this is going to be 100% moving forward. You want to book anybody of our talent? You want to have them on a podcast or on a commercial, on a movie or whatever? What do I tell them now? Where's the talent agreement? Like, what is it? Like, and that's the beauty about having a manager. I have those conversations. I have those hard conversations. And if people view me whatever, then that means you view maybe the J-Lo's manager like that. And maybe, why don't
They never do.
Exactly.
They never do.
So you go out of your way, but for those but then not for us. Like, don't get it twisted. Like, just because we come from the struggle, that doesn't mean that we got to keep the struggle mentality and the poverty mentality, because it starts up here first. And people are going to treat you the way you allow them to treat you and how you view yourself. So we have learned through these shows and these opportunities, more than anything, to see ourselves in a different light, and that what we bring to the table is worthy of what you're trying to get from us. And we know we've been through so much shit, like, not to be recognized for that. And so therefore, this film is gonna even boost us up to a different level. To now, it's like, you know, you better come even like more correct, because now we went from like backgrounds to like management to like now there's lawyers involved. Now there's like big people involved. Now there's, you know, and don't be mad at the players, be mad at the game, because I'm only following the rules of the game that you've put in front of me, you know. And you probably thought I was never gonna learn how to play it, but you done fucked up, you know, like yeah. So to me, I want to honor like each individual here on the table. Give credit to Eric, to that whole production that saw us for what we are, you know, not what we were, but what we were, but then saw what we are and can be, and then also never gave up, you know. And that goes a long way. And not only did Eric do that, but it partnered up with the entire vision of From the Streets to the Set of what we are. And it doesn't end here with these guys. There's another homie that's gonna watch this, that's in the prison cell, that like wants to do this. Well, guess what? When you come out, like, holler at us, you know, like holler at us. We don't we make sure that we stay in good standing, because we're still in good standing in our street life. But if you come correct and you want a different opportunity to live a different way, like, we're here, we embrace. But yes, you are, if you've never been okay by taking leadership by a woman, like, maybe that's not a place for you, because I'm gonna chew your ass off if I need to, and then I'm cool with you later, you know. But it's just that love, you know, it's love. One of the things that we grew up not understanding is that discipline equals a form of love language, right? So you get the kids that get mad because, oh, my parent got mad. My parent, like, you know, you just want to ruin my life. No, that's a form of love language, because we're trying to prevent this, right? So it's no different in this setting, right? Like, I mean, most of the time, Gilardi always calls me Mama Bear, right? Like, oh, Mama Bear, like, you know. And yes, because we're birthing something, a different generation of men and women that don't have to go and die over something that just says as further as your block reads. You know, there's a whole world out there. And for this production to have seen us, like, I see you, and like looking dead at us, like, I see you and I hear you, and people need to know that you exist. Like, fuck, that's the world to us. Because I mean, that's what gang members do, no? Like, we all go look out for validation some way, somehow. Love, brotherhood. You're not running to something, you're running from something. And that person understood what we were running from. And instead of getting into a crash dummy situation, he was like, all right, no, let's embrace each other, let's do this. And then boom, now you got a whole different dynamic. And that's why I always say, don't get it twisted. I go from that to what I was in 2.3 seconds, because I don't forget where I come from. But do I want that for the rest of my life? No, because I want better, you know. And now this is the proof that better exists, and it will continue to exist, you know. So that's just where we're at, from the Bay, you know, because we got another project coming out, to LA, from like north, south, black, brown, you know. If you out there thinking it wasn't able to be done, well, guess what? It took a woman to step in the game, because I'm here. So that's that.
I'm not gonna lie. I once upon a time took a trip up north, and I did a wonderful compound exclusive look with my boy Burner at the compound. And while I was there, she chilling in the office. I walked in, I was like, "Oh, what's up? How are you?" It made me feel a little bit safer. You're a little deeper. The blue team was a little bit deeper. I mean, the Cookies logo was blue, but you know what I'm saying? Like, shit. Shout out to my boy Burner. But you, Buckaroo, me and you have a long history, and I feel like, for whatever reason, which we don't have to talk about today, you haven't been necessarily in the forefront like usual, like how you always are. You know what I'm saying? My boy was leading the way on TikTok and doing a lot of crazy things with the skits and this and that. But I'm glad you're here today. I'm glad this movie got you out and about.
Oh yeah.
You all right?
Hell yeah, bro. Most definitely, man. And like you said, bro, I went through some situations. You know, I don't speak on like
That's all good.
no shit like, but I like speaking about, you know, positivity. You know what I'm saying? That's what I like pushing out. I've been through too much negative shit in my life to even try to, you know, talk about negativity shit, you know? But nah, bro, this movie right here, bro, is something crazy. And just to touch bases about what Bernice was saying, bro, like, I come from Indio, you know? Shout out to everybody from the Valle out there, Valle Coachella, you know? That's a hometown. But it's crazy, bro, because, you know, once I started kind of popping out to LA, you know, a lot of the homies from different hoods, you know, shout out to everybody else too. And I let everybody knows what I'm talking about. You know, everybody was always showing love and shit, you know, because I was always doing relatable skits and shit like that. Started getting connected. And what I started seeing was more, you know, I come through, and I don't want to get too political, you know, start seeing different hoods, but like I'll go to a certain neighborhood and, you know, I'll see a black right there. And I'm like, oh, what's up, bro? Like, you from here? He's like, yeah, I'm from so talking like Hispanic, you know. And I'm like, you know. And then I go there to some of the homies, you know. Shout out to the homie Watome Kwan, you know, his area too and stuff, you know, and all that area out there. I'll go pull up, you know, for a shoot or whatever, and you know, you see a Mexican fool, you know, basically,
Cricket blood, whatever.
like, yeah, he talk, oh, what's up, bro? Whoa.
Okay.
Do your shit, bro. Do your shit. Cool, you know. It was just something new to me. But again, I feel like a lot of people don't talk about it, and it's crazy from what I've seen because, like Bernice was saying earlier, you know, it's the influence, bro, in the neighborhoods. It don't matter what color you are, bro. It's what you're gonna become being, you know, a part of that neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? Like it's you're just gonna become that, you know what I mean? Like no matter where you're at, whether if it's a black, brown, or white, whatever neighborhood, bro, like that's what you're gonna become because you're invested in that neighborhood, you know. So that's what I kind of tripped out on is basically, you know, like the influence, you know, that these neighborhoods do have, whether you're black, white, or brown, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was a dope experience, you know, going through all the crazy shit right there in Monte.
Oh yeah, that's
you know, that shit was crazy too, cause yeah. Chino took off, and Eric's like, hey, where's Chino? Where's Chino? And Chino was gone. And bro's like, whoa, hey, whoa. You know, he was tripping, and we're like, you know? And, you know, shout out to Corey, man, you know, because he had to come a little bit into, the, you know, our lifestyles. And again, just because I live in India don't mean we don't go
It's the same shit.
out there. It's the same shit, different neighborhood, bro. It's
Hotter.
Same shit. And way powder, so you got a lot of high hits out there for sure. A lot of motherfuckers lose their temper because
They say it gets bad in summer. It's always summer over there.
yeah, it's cracking out there, bro. Fuck. But either way, it's like, you know, it's the same shit basically everywhere you go. No matter what you do, it's the power of the neighborhoods, you know, and the gangs and everything that they got control over the youth. You feel me? And this movie, bro, it's not just your typical crazy gun action. Whoop. You know, it does have some shit that's popping in there, but it actually shows what like the mothers go through. You know what I'm saying? And like when Bernice was doing that film, bro, I seen my mom too, you know, from like the other end of a cast.
What it's like, yeah.
And shit where you're just on the other side and you can remember and you feel that shit, bro. Like you feel that you're like,
and you get to see what they were going through as opposed to what you were feeling inside,
bro. So like when Bernice just laid it down, bro, like a lot of moms, bro, that are, you know, growing up in these neighborhoods, bro, they're gonna feel that shit to, you know, the core of the heart, bro. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna feel that. So and there's a lot of big things, bro. Like as far as, I don't want to say messages because, I mean, Eric didn't, you know, kind of say it's not really about the big messages behind it, but there's a lot of like powerful moments, you know what I'm saying, that I feel like a lot of homies don't even talk about, bro.
Facts.
Like the homie Frankie, you know, in his role, he had a couple scenes where like he's speaking on certain things, bro, and it just shows like how hard and cold some motherfuckers could be because of what they've been through, how they could be emotional. My brother, you know, he's in Calipat, bro. He's doing live. And the same shit, I remember one of his salaries came out, bro. And basically, he's like, hey, fool, like, you know, checking with your bro. Because I talk to my brother, bro, and it's always love. You know, we'll be talking shit. We act like nothing happening. And basically, you know, he told me that my bro was just laid up one time looking at the ceiling, fool, no emotion, no expressions, nothing, and just tears, fool, falling out his face. And I'm like,
Who knows what's going through his mind, fool?
Fool, so I was like, that's deep, dog. Because no, my brother, fool, I feel he's a gangster, fool. Like, he don't give a you know, he's a fucking little nuthead, fool, but
Gangsters get lonely too,
you
pero.
know me, dog. So like
Real shit.
That's where I'm coming from, bro. It's like this shit's really gonna show a side of like, you know, the other side that we don't talk about. You feel me? So that's one thing, bro, that I feel like this movie's super different, you know, and actually shows a lot more of the other side people don't want to show. You feel me? So man, Die Like a Man, bro. April 18th through the 24th. Make sure you guys get your tickets, man. Get your tickets, bro. We finna be there. The 20th, we're gonna go crazy from the street to the set day. You know what I'm saying? The 21st, I'm gonna be there too. But like, everybody come pull up. You know, Easter, man. We probably gonna fuck around. There's some little Easter egg basket thing we were talking about, Bernice. Just,
That'd be very dope.
just to, you know, still show some love and support. You know, share Easter together. You know, beautiful day and shit. So, you know, tap in, man. Get your tickets, fool, because we going up. Hey, Eyekon, fool, I'm gonna give you your flowers, my boy, because again, you've been going up, my boy. I've been seeing your ass.
I'm just alive, pero.
Been laying low, fool, but hey, I'm gonna give you your flowers, fool. I'm proud of you, my boy. You've been doing your shit.
Highly appreciate
Proud
it.
of you, boss.
Don't trip.
Can I say something real quick and just backtracking?
Let it rip, Joe. Give that young man the mic.
Thank you, sir. When they were talking about filming in the neighborhood and Omar's neighborhood and all that, one thing that also happened though is that we filmed on a summer night, and there's a lot of families that live out there, so a lot of kids aren't in school.
Yeah, they're outside playing and everything.
And
It's crowded.
And so
That's right.
what was cool was, you know, they had shut down like almost a whole little block. And you had all these kids and then all these families, like moms, dads who, you know, got out of work and stuff like that.
They're fucking tripping out.
Used to seeing people, because if you grew up like on the west side, kind of like me, you're kind of used to seeing.
Your block is your block, and if there's a stranger there, you're like, oh, okay.
Boy, that house was like that house a week prior. They were like, but that house turned into for that 2 weeks. I think they were tripping out what was going on because they couldn't believe it. I don't think they believe it because it used to be surrounded by like 20 dudes outside in front, dog. Like,
No, yeah.
Like
It was
that.
a spot.
like that. Yeah. And so I had everybody terrorized. So for it to be like that from one moment to the next, it's like film. Like a film. It just didn't make sense. I think people came out and I had even some of my homies come out because they couldn't believe it. They came out to see what we were doing because they couldn't believe that this was happening in that house. No, but to me it was just kind of like trying to make a statement, you know what I mean, and change the perspective of that house, because I met a lot of those dudes and they're good dudes, dog. They're just going through some shit.
Of course.
Freddy's, they're you know, they're the all these characters they're in the movie, they're real life, you know. And so to me it's like that's why the fact that he mentioned that the family coming out and is because of that. That's one of the things that you guys don't really know, but I that house was, and now ever since then it's become a family home. It's never gone back to that. So it's a trip.
Let's tie.
Yeah, it's a trip.
I was just gonna say, when we did do that, like you would see all those families came out. Because I grew up on the west side, where you're a little more used to seeing like things that are a little out there, people with cameras or like stuff like that. And we went to Omar's neighborhood, like, you know, you had a lot of kids come out that they'd never seen a block shut down just for filming and stuff like that. And I think I was only on set a couple of days. I only have a couple scenes, but on my second day, they ended up like, we were done for the night, and like they let the families come up, and like the kids got to come up and like talk to you, and pretty much like, you know, they don't know who you are, but they just know, hey, you're in front of the camera, like, and they want to come up and like
Meet you and shit.
Yeah.
See what's up.
yeah, you a good guy, you a bad guy, this, that, blah, blah, blah. And like, you know, and like families come over and talk to you and stuff. And so it was actually really cool to like, that all the families in the neighborhood got to come out and see, and then, you know, watch a lot of it. So it was pretty sick.
That's right.
Yeah, that was dope. That was definitely a community event.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the crazy part is the contrast, man. Because like I feel like it could have even been the same day, like
It was the same day.
where all that craziness went down. But then at the end of the night, like they're trying, like the people next door are trying to take pictures with us.
Oh,
you
yeah,
know?
that's right.
You remember? And I'm like,
Yeah.
damn, like that's crazy.
It happens like that.
You know? Yeah.
And that's the other thing too, dog. Is like shot again. What Chino was talking about is like in an authentic place, bro. You know what I'm saying? Where shit used to go down at. That's what I'm saying, bro. That fool Eric, bro. I give it to him, bro, because like he went down to the nitty gritty to
Made it happen.
and get it all where it's authentic, where it comes from. You know what I mean? But yeah, bro, that shit was dope.
And it just took a village too. Like, you know, there's scenes where there's multiple homies, you know, and not everyone's from the same area and the same blocks, and you know, but the purpose is bigger, you know, and even with that, like, story with the families coming out, the kids wanting pictures and everything, it's like, that's really what we're aiming for, you know, that the person I used to look up to steered me in all the wrong directions, but now the people that are like now looking up to us is like, there's a sense of hope now. There's a sense of like, you know, encouragement, motivation, and you know, I rather a million times invest in a trip to take these kids to a studio set and see how something's done than to spend their weekends going in a visiting room, going behind cages, going behind gates, having to be searched, being violated of your own privacy, of your connection with your loved ones. But we also have to take an accountability that we put ourselves there, you know, and that now when you know better, like we know better, it would be a damn shame if you didn't do better, you know?
Facts.
So now there's no one to blame, you know? Because it's like, well, now I'm given this chance. Now I could be the influence. Now I could be the mentee or the mentor or whatever, the counselor. And if I don't do that, then shame on me, you know? And I'm big, you know, for everyone that doesn't know, like I've been walking, you know, with God for a few years now. And even some of his like demands and calls for us is go back home and show people what I did in your life. And this is what we're doing. It's like, you know, these guys, like, you know, performed too, like at the Montalban Theater. Like, for everyone that knows, those are my stomping grounds. And for me to go back, it's like, oh damn, you know, the $1 million theater that this is gonna be premiering in, you know, downtown Skid Row. I used to go and pick up things from there and do that, like full circle, boom. Now you go back home. Now it's on a different light. We brought so much darkness to our streets, to our neighborhoods. Now to be gifted a second chance and be the light, yeah, I'm running with that. Like, and I don't care if you call that weak or anything. It takes someone more strong in spirit, in health and mind and emotion to do that. Because
it's easy to do bad.
Yeah, it's easy. It's easy to pull a trigger. You teach a 10-year-old kid, a 5-year-old kid, they could do it. But to raise a family, to be, you know, to hold your tongue when you want to say, I've been in positions where people are just waiting for me to throw the first punch or jab back. And at this point, I got too much to lose, and it ain't worth my time. It ain't worth my energy. And call me what you want to call me. I know what I've done. I know what I carry inside of me, but it takes more for me to show my daughters and show my son that not every action deserves a reaction, and I'm cool with that. You know, right. It doesn't take away from who I am. So
yeah, you're way beyond the point of having to prove anything.
Yeah,
it's done.
I mean, the work proves itself.
That's it. Yeah,
that's it.
And another thing, bro, too, is like we were at the IMAX with it, bro.
That's fire.
You feel me, dog? Like I was talking about that shit all day yesterday, bro. I remember when my mom was able to gather up some little fat and we were kids, bro, and we watched Ice Age. And I like,
yeah, that show was
walking down this shit, bro. You see in Denzel Washington's face, you see Coco, you see all like cars and all these big ass movies, dog, and we're walking down the same aisle into the same room where one of those films was
that, yeah.
Feel me? Like we're in that same place, bro. So that right there was like
that's huge
compliment,
straight up
accomplishment, you know, and just thinking like, fuck, dog, I came to an IMAX to watch an Ice Age movie. Now I'm coming to an IMAX to watch myself. Like, yeah, that's some player shit, bro. Like, you know, that's some player shit, bro. Yeah, hell yeah, that's some super.
I mean, that's success, right? Yeah, like how far
medal, yo. Thank God,
100%.
This comes first.
Yeah.
just like, yeah.
Like we're a reflection of each other, bro. Like,
real, dog. We all live the same shit, dog. You know?
I mean, like I feel Eyekon, like you've done so much, bro. Like I feel like you get you're recognized. I feel like you're recognized, dog, but like you haven't really been acknowledged like that.
Yeah, I'm not tripping off of that shit. This is the acknowledgement right here. Put it on for the people, you know what I'm saying?
About it. I know you're not, we're not tripping. Bernice is not tripping. I don't be tripping about people recognizing what. I don't think none of us are tripping that we're not being acknowledged. We acknowledge each other and we recognize each other. And I think that's the importance in this role, right? We acknowledge you as much as you acknowledge us to allow us to come here on your platform that you've worked hard to build and allow us to, to share what we've been working hard to build. It's a come around moment. This moment right here for both of us on both sides, for reals. Because we've both been grinding hard, bro. All of us been grinding hard to just get to a place where we have something to show. And I know how much you sacrificed for what, and like, you don't always get a pat on the back. You don't always get your flowers. And sometimes it's just be like that. You can't do it for that. And the fact that you've grinded it out without flowers, and Bernice went without flowers. I feel like at some point, homie, you should, accept it. Homie, I need my flowers, dog, And it's like, and that's that's what we need to do, bro. And empower each other and acknowledge each other's effort, bro. Because you could have fell off a long time ago, but you're still here. That dedication, that commitment, that resilience, like that's something that I could learn from. We could learn from, because you're obviously learning to do something that to keep going, bro. Be consistent at what you do, and we've been trying to be consistent at what we do, and we know we got to deal with negativity or someone trying to down talk what we're trying to do, or someone trying to negatively. I've seen how you managed to do it, and you just kind of spirit, you just kind of give it a shoulder and just push your direction. I think that's why you've been able to be successful, is because you just give it, the cold shoulder, and you just go about your business, bro. You're not too big on the gossip. You're not too big on, and Bernice as well, she just gives it the cold shoulder, bro. And however it may look, whatever, but at the end of the day, you're able to sit there and be able to inspire people. She's been able, we've been able to be here and inspire people. And I think that's the more important part, that we've survived all that. And we're maturing. We're no little kids no more, So at some point, there needs to be a level of maturity and understanding that what we're doing is not child's play.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? There's a real profession that goes in, a real skill set that goes into what you guys do, what we do. And a lot of people don't understand that. They think it's just like, nah, bro, you can't just show up and think some people are lucky. Some people do just show up and, and they just, they I'm not going to mention names, but there's people that they do that, have that, and that's cool. But for us, that we got to work. I think it's important that we acknowledge each other, and create a community and understand that we're part of this community, whether we like each other or not. We're part of this community of people who represent this culture. And if we don't practice maturity and a level of understanding of what we're doing and take more, have a more intention and more purposeful approach to what we're doing, we're just going to keep following the bullshit and going with the bullshit and being weighed by that and influenced by that. And I think like we're moving in a better direction, bro. And, and I'm proud of all of us here, because I've been able to be in the game since I got out. I've been able to see a lot of things and experience a lot of things and to see what we're going and doing. I'm just trying to keep it alive, bro, and keep watering it. And nurture it and keep it going for the next people coming up, for the youngsters coming up. And I'm looking forward to what he does, what Alex does, what Dinero does. With my boy, I'm looking forward to what they do, because I already know that they're going to be successful. Because I've seen, just like you, I've seen them consistent, being consistent, and it ain't easy. It's not easy, dog. But we're here,
And also, it depends on how you define success, right?
Yep.
People, yes, we talked about this with Alex, like, success for some people is like that big mansion on the hill, whatever, and that would be nice. Like we've mentioned that, but success, like, I mean, as I define it, right, putting together from where we started till now.
Absolutely.
Like, the success story is that, we're not even on like films and TV. The success story is, being able to go through the trials and tribulations that was made for us to never succeed and overcome. And here we are overcoming. This is a story of resilience, like the comeback, right? The setback happened a few times, but just for a greater comeback. And to me, like, I could honestly say I've been successful. I am successful at what I do. I'm a chameleon. million. You put me in a room full of hood homies, I get hood. If you put me in a room, you know, with billionaires and millionaires, then we go corporate. Like, however you want it, however we speak, we're gonna speak, but we're gonna be in the room, right? And the success story in itself is just being able to leave a legacy. And this is what I tell my kids all the time, like in our intimate moments. It's like, my legacy isn't going to be like, oh, the will, and my mom left me this, and, you know, the business or whatever. You know what the legacy is going to be? Is that for every individual that goes and speaks at my wake or whatever, if they could look at you in the eye and say, you know what, your mom touched my life. Your mom opened a door for me. Your mom gave me love and hope when I couldn't even give that to myself. Then guess what? Legacy enough. Like, you know, that's it. My kids will always remember that. My kids ain't going to remember how many like millions or where they could blow that off because they didn't earn that. You know what I'm saying? Like, but the reputation that I'm establishing so they could move freely in these places. My 3-year-old will never know what it is to be with me while I'm gangbanging. You know what I'm saying? My 3-year-old will never know what it is to go and raise bail money. I mean, unless you touch my kids, then yeah. But you know what I'm saying? Like, she won't ever have to be looking, like, I put my first 2 kids through that shit, so they know street. But to be able to see my 3-year-old just be a kid, just enjoy being a
crazy,
kid,
huh?
is fulfilling. That's success in itself, you know? And for her to be so, I'm in my element. Like, you know, she was at the premiere, right? Like, in the red carpet. Like, yeah, you know, like, she's growing up in this shit. That's the success. Like, being able to show my daughter that we ain't taking a ride, mama, to, like, these long-ass drives down the desert, like, waiting for cops to come open the door. We're taking rides, like, to Cabo. We're taking planes to Cabo. Like, you know, my 3-year-olds traveled more than like some grown ass men.
I know
these
exactly
hoods, you know what
mean.
I'm saying? So that is success in itself. So, you know, this is already a success story, and I can't wait to keep adding to it and to keep adding to it because, like I said earlier, like, we're not going anywhere. We just got started. This shit just cracked open. 100%. In every dynamic. So for the ones that don't know, From the Streets to the Set now has a photography department, a music department, and with the Leica sponsorship, we are going global, you know, like Germany and different places.
That's right.
So we're gonna keep pushing the stuff, and there's good news in the near future, like where it doesn't have to stop here, but we're gonna keep building a space to keep training more people. And who knows, you might have some of these gentlemen be now at the front for of these classrooms, like teaching you what once was handed and gifted to them and earned by them, you know. So it ain't stopping. I might be silent here and there, but when I come out, it's going to be for a reason. And
that's right.
You know, so I thank you for having us on.
All love.
You know, just cut off the part where I had to threaten you. No, just like nah, but no, for real, like, thank you for just allowing the space, like, to be ourselves, to come. I know that outside of certain situations, we haven't like known each other like how we should as a community, because the industry is a very small industry. But I think that the problem and the solution all laying within itself, which is the lack of getting to know someone for what they really are instead of just hearing what the industry says.
Fuck the haters.
And yeah. And you know, I think me and you have came like directly to each other in certain things, you know, and I think that's what grown people do. Like, I don't need no little person. I cut that shit off a long time ago. But, you know, and I think that's what it is, because it will avoid so many misunderstandings.
Yeah.
It would avoid so many irrelevant animosity that shouldn't be. Like, we're all trying to strive to the same place. And the thing is that there's a road to the same location for everyone. And there's so much to eat that, like, if I could really, really put a camera in my brain for everybody that has an opinion about how I get down, and these guys won't let me lie. Like, I'm always constantly not even thinking about, like, how can I get ahead first. I'm always like, oh, like, can you do that? Can you do this? I'm trying to put the next person on, because that's leadership. Leadership ain't about you. Leadership is about what God gifted you so you could give to somebody else, you know, and allow them to edify and glow in that light. Because if they glow, should I glow?
Exactly.
You know?
That's what makes a good leader a good leader. Yeah.
You know, but thank you again. And, I don't know if there's enough or we have enough time. We've been going for a little minute, but I'm proud of all of you guys. Shit, like,
where do we find this movie at? How do people get tickets? Where do we go? What do we do?
So the link is in all our bios.
On the link in the description of this video.
And my handles from the streets to the set. The link is there. At Eventbrite, they have the event listed, which is at the $1 Million Theater downtown.
Is it going to be premiering for X amount of days or
5 days? Has at LA screening, 3 shows a day, 2, 5, and 8 p.m. And then we also have a link where you could pre-buy the showing when it drops on the 25th after the screening on Apple TV.
Dope.
And hopefully other places, but we'll disclose that after.
Yeah.
Still bright, huh?
Nah, it's going to be the thumbnail. Don't trip. Part of the thumbnail.
So, yeah, that's where you'll find it. Die Like a Man.
Yeah. It's been a pleasure to have all of you guys here, especially you, my dear.
Thank you.
Die Like a Man. Make sure you go and get the tickets. If you don't, make sure you tap into Apple TV and watch it. Can we do a 2-person ticket giveaway? Is that possible?
Yeah.
Comment ticket in the comments and we'll close our eyes and pick which one of you are going. You know what I'm saying? But shout out to everyone that supports this movie. We highly appreciate it. I know you've seen all of these faces, and if you don't, please get familiar because you're not going to stop seeing them. Does anyone want to leave anything for the people before we clock out?
Good, just thank you.
Look at you. You know you want to say something.
No, like I've just been thinking about like everything that we've been talking about. You know, it's like there's a thing that I seen recently. It's where it said my dreams are so big that I forget, and my goals are so big that I'm always striving for more that I forget that I'm actively living my dream right now. Well, and we are all actively living our dream right now. It's incredible.
That's crazy, huh?
It's fucking crazy. Like even while we were talking, I was like hit with the sudden realization. Like I was like, man, I've been in 3 movies. No, well, just in general, like I've been in 3 movies, you know, like how many people can say that they've done that much time in prison and come home and they have 3 movies under their belt?
2 out of the 3 of those movies were filmed a long fucking time ago. I'm starting to think you're the issue, perro.
Bro, it could be. It could be. They had to do a lot of editing to make it look good.
No, it's incredible. We're all living our dream right now, and that's beautiful.
That's right.
Yeah.
These 2 gentlemen have indicted episodes. This fool's about to have an episode. She's about to have not an indicted episode, a regular interview on Eyekon TV. I don't need you to go into prison, Pedro. You had a lot of close calls. Shout to Rosenberg. I'm going to invite you soon back here to sit down with me and my wife. You 2 gentlemen are always more than welcome to pull up.
Thank you.
And shit. Die Like a Man. Like I said, follow all of these wonderful people. Their Instagram handles are in the beginning of this episode. The link to Die Like a Man is in the description. And if you don't get to see it at the theater, please do watch it on Apple TV. This has been another episode of The Table. Dinero, Berenice, David, fucking Chino, Alex, David. It's been real. Shout out to all of you guys watching. Like, share, subscribe, follow all these people. And we're fucking out of here. Gracias.
We out.
Oh, yeah, and please get a honey pack. That's crazy.